Hello and welcome to the demo for webconnect. webconnect is essentially a patient portal that allows you to view patient insurance and demographic as well as prescription information while also providing you some connectivity to the pharmacy, and that's what we're going to take a look at today. So to start out, I'm just going to start on this dashboard with the patient search. And I do have a test patient in the system here that we're going to be using today, Thomas the Train. So just enter the patient's name and select search. Now notice on the right, it does provide you a list of facilities that you'll have access to. And so if you are a staff member that maybe moves around from multiple locations and works at a couple of different locations, we can provide you access to all of those locations. So you just need to specify that when you're requesting access. If you do have multiple facilities in your access, when you're searching for your patient, you don't have to select the facility. It'll automatically select the patient facility, based on where the patient already resides, and so you don't have to do that. Now this does bring us to the patient record. So we're going to start in the patient information tab of the patient record. Now this is the only tab in webconnect that actually allows you to make the change without having to wait on the pharmacy. And so you can see here it's pretty harmless. It's mostly demographic information, but you can see here you can make adjustments in any of these fields. So for example, if you wanted to correct the address or the birth date. We also have the primary physician on file here. If the doctor changes for any reason, you just select new doctor, and then you can search for your new doctor here and just find. That's going to take you to a prescriber scan where you can select the doctor that you're looking for. And then to go ahead and to save that change, you're just going to select Update Patient. Now when you select Update Patient, it is going to change that field in real time on our side within the pharmacy and on your side. Okay. Now moving forward to the Payment Information tab and all of the tabs forward, you are not able to actually make the change. You are able to review information, and then you're able to submit requests over so that we can make those changes. And then that's just for the purpose of making sure that everything is done, in the correct order of operation. For example, if an allergy is added, we want to be aware of that. We don't want that to go under the radar, so that we can always be checking for interactions and that sort of thing. Okay. So you can see here in the Payment Information tab that you can view the payer status associated with your resident. So in this case, we've got this resident's private pay, but you could also see, if they're Medicaid or Medicare or whatever the case might be. You can also see here at the bottom, there's a spot for you to send us a message. And so if for some reason you do need to make an adjustment to their payer status, maybe you're wanting to alert the billing team that, the insurance has changed, please update, whatever the case might be, then you can go ahead and you can submit that over. That will be received by our processors, and then we will triage that to the billing team. The moment that the billing team makes the change, you will see that change reflected in here. And then you can see here in my example, I only have primary payer status, but if they had multiple payer statuses, you would see that here under the secondary and then also in the tertiary. Okay. Moving on to the Allergy tab, here you can view all active allergies that we have on file for your residents. And then you also have the ability to go in and to request that additional allergies be added, or maybe if there's an allergy that's incorrect, you can request that it be removed. And then you just submit that over to the pharmacy. Once again, we will triage that to the appropriate department. Once that allergy is added, you'll see it listed here. And then you'll also notice that when an additional allergy is added, if you go and you print a new MAR, that MAR will reflect it. And so if you are auditing your MAR and you notice that some allergies are missing, those are directly pulling from this screen. And so this is where you can kind of reconcile and make sure that everything that should be on the MAR is on there. Medical conditions works the same way as allergies. Here you can view any diagnoses that we have on file for your residents. Again, these diagnoses are also going to print on the MAR, and so if you're finding that there are some incomplete diagnoses, feel free to send us a message over at the bottom here requesting that additional, medical conditions be added. The next tab over is the ADT tab, and so this just refers to admissions, discharges, and transfers. So this is just a good spot for you to be able to communicate if somebody is moving within your facility. So maybe somebody is out of the facility temporarily, or if you have multiple sites, maybe if they're moving from one location to another, this is a nice spot to communicate that. You can see here that there's this box that says admission number, but for many of our facilities, they'll just use this as just a free text field. And so, for example, if somebody is moving locations, you could note that here, moving to Smith Avenue, for example, and then the date that they're moving, and then submit that over to us. And then that just makes sure then that we're, transferring them to the appropriate facility on that date, and, getting deliveries to the proper location. Some of our other facilities will also use this for, noting a vacation. If somebody is going to be, away with their family on vacation temporarily and they don't need cycle fill, you could indicate the date that they're going to be out and the date that they're going to return, that sort of thing. The next tab over is the ancillary tab, and so this is just going to refer to anything that you would want to appear on the MAR that's not a prescription item. So treatment orders such as, blood sugar checks and weight checks, baths, diet orders, anything that you'd like to show up here. Also, maybe anything that they might be taking that we're not supplying, like supplements that might be supplied by family members. You can request that those be added here. And so again, you'll be able to view anything that we already have on file under the patient ancillary section. And then down here at the bottom, you can add a new ancillary. To do that, you can see here there's this HOA field, and so that's just going to refer to hour of administration. And so it's just asking for the time that you'd like it to take place. And then it'll ask for a treatment, or I'm sorry, a type. You can see here there's lots of different types. The most common would be the treatment. And then you can just choose the status of active to request that it be added as an active order. Down here at the bottom under ancillary description, you can just free text what you'd like it to say. So let's see here, we'll do a weight check every Monday at 8 a.m. Now you can put that time in the HOA box as well, but it's just not a required field, okay? And then when you submit that over, that does get received into the pharmacy, triage the medical records. When they add that, you'll see that your patient ancillary section will get updated, and then again, your MAR will also reflect that change. Okay. Medication profile and refills. This is the most comprehensive of all of the tabs within the patient profile. You can see here that there's a list of all active orders for the resident. And you can also see here there's a little filter, so if you'd like to pull in the inactive, you can just check that filter box to pull those in as well. Lots of information here being supplied to you. You can see the last time that something was filled. You can see the number of refills remaining, the doctor we have on file. You can also see the system tries to assist you when you're doing your refills, just letting you know the status of that refill. And so you can see here a kind of positive message will show up in green, ready for refill. And then if there is any kind of an issue in terms of being able to be refilled, it will show up in red, such as this key typing here. There are no refills on the prescription, but it shows up in red. Okay. Also notice that when you are refilling, there are a couple of items that are flagged as fill list items. That's just the system's way of indicating that something is on cycle fill. And so if you see fill list item, you don't have to worry about reordering. That's going to go ahead and come in your cycle fill. Anything without that tag would be your responsibility. And then you can actually go ahead and you can refill from this screen. So this little checkbox in the last column here is the refill column. And so anything that you'd like to be refilled, you can go down the way and you can check multiple at a time. And then to submit it over, you just select submit. It does a little recap for you, and then you can submit once more to actually send it to the pharmacy. When we receive that in the pharmacy, we will process that just like we do all of the refills. And so just a nice, efficient, quick way of you being able to communicate refills to us. You can also see here next to each medication there are these 3 action items. So the first is check interactions. So this just gives you the ability to cross-reference two drugs. And so if you're wanting to see if there are any interactions between those two drugs, you can just type in the name of the medication, select the medication from the list, and then if there are any interactions, it'll display here with a monograph explaining, the details of that interaction. If there are no interactions, it's just going to display no interactions found. And then this is just a pop-up box, so you can just close out of that to return to the screen that you just left. Okay. The next action item is the send note to pharmacy. And so this is just a good section for you to communicate, any adjustments or changes associated with that individual prescription. So you can see that it already populates with the prescription number, with the drug name, and then you can send us over that message. There is a spot for, to indicate that something has been DC'd, and so as you're reconciling, if you notice that, something on your end is DC, but we're not aware of it, you can, submit a message over that, that it's supposed to be DC'd, and we can go ahead and try to retrieve that DC order from the doctor. You can also make changes here, if there's a time change request, you can submit that. This is also a good spot for med replacement requests. And so maybe you're just needing, a dose or two of a particular medication, not the entire refill. If they spit something out or dropped it or whatever the case might be. And so again, here you could just indicate that and send it over to the pharmacy. The last action item here is the view monograph. And so this is just a detailed explanation regarding that medication. This is essentially the same information as the patient leaflet that's going to accompany all new orders. But the benefit here is just that you can, have access to it at any time. And so if you misplace it, you need to come in and print a new one, you can do that. Also, the moment that we have profiled a new medication, you'll be able to access this. And so you could essentially access it, even before the medication has reached your facility. You can see here, it references, the brand name of the drug, what it's used for, side effects associated with the drug, lots of information here. And then you can print it out by just selecting the print icon in the top right-hand corner. You'll also see here that we do support Spanish and English currently. And so if you'd like to toggle those languages, you can just select the language and it'll, adjust over. Currently at this time, we do not support French. So we're supporting English and Spanish right now. Okay. All right. The last couple items here within the patient's profile, there's a quick little link to patient reports, but we're going to get to that in just a second here, so I'm going to skip over that. The profile drug interaction, this looks just like the interaction that we saw below metformin there, except it's going to cross-reference everything on the profile, not just that individual medication. Okay. And then the last item here is a send note to pharmacy. And so this is just a good spot for you to communicate something that may not be specific to one individual prescription for Thomas. And so you can see it does default to that patient that you're in. So for example, if Thomas is, maybe he needed a time change for all of his morning meds. And so rather than you having to go into each individual prescription and, request that the time be changed, you could just send us a message, please change all morning meds from this time to this time, that sort of thing. So whatever the case might be, just a nice spot for you to communicate messages regarding Thomas. Okay. All right, so that concludes the patient section. So we're going to move on to orders. And we're going to start here at the top with refill prescriptions. And so just like we saw within Thomas's profile, where we could, go in and we could reorder, you can do this also across patients. And so rather than having to go into each individual patient, you could come to the Orders tab, select Refill Prescription, and you could just key in the prescription numbers that you're needing to reorder. As you enter them, it's just going to go ahead and it's going to populate with that same information that you saw before. And then, you can kind of stay in this mode. And so for some of our facilities, what they'll do is they will, bring this up in the middle of a med pass. And so as they are doing their med pass, they'll, note anything that is low or needs a refill, they'll add to the list. Then when they're all done, rather than having to send, all of those individual refill requests, they can just, send over the big list. When you're all done, you can submit, and again, we'll go ahead and process this. Note that if something is showing an error message, a warning message such as this is too soon to refill, it does not prevent you from reordering it. It just is going to alert you, ahead of time. So the idea is just that if you know on the front end, then maybe, you know to allow for a few extra days as we attempt to get that refill from the doctor. Okay. You can also print out a summary of what you do reorder. And so if you want to keep track of what's been reordered and when it's been reordered, you can print that out and then, always have that reference for you. All right. The next tab down is the receive order section. And so this is just a good spot for you to record who in your facility is receiving particular medication. And so it just provides a nice history for you if you're needing some prescription tracking, so to speak. And so the idea is that as you receive a particular delivery, you would come in, select prescription number, and then you would, type in those prescription numbers and add. And then you can add multiple, and then you would go ahead and you would submit when you're all done. What that will do is it will record the initials of the employee who received it and then the date that they received it. And so this is just helpful, again, as a history. And so, a week later, if something is misplaced or you're trying to figure out, if it actually was received, you could log in and you could see exactly who received it and when they received it so that you could get a little bit more of that information. The next section is the print order section. And so this is just a nice kind of status check for prescriptions for your facility. And so what you'll do here is, again, just select your facility. The default is to show the last 48 hours, but you can adjust that by just clicking on the calendar. You can adjust those dates. And so what it's going to do is it's going to provide two sections for you. So the first section is the consolidated delivery sheet section. This section is going to display anything that has been filled in that date range in the pharmacy that it has been completed and is ready for delivery. And so you can see here the DocuState is ready to go. And then down below where we see the delivery exceptions report, this is going to display anything that has been filled in that date range but is still in process. And so you can see that mirtazapine is not quite ready because it's still being labeled. And so just a nice way for you to kind of do some prescription tracking and to see the statuses of, multiple prescriptions for your facility. The next section is the destruction report. And so this is helpful when you are destroying meds to provide you a nice report for those med destructions. And so here again, you just select your facility, you select the prescription number, the quantity that's being destroyed, and then the date, and as well as the reason. So we'll say that this medication was DC'd, and then you can go ahead and you can select add. Now, just like we've seen in the refill section, this is a spot where you can just add multiple prescriptions. And so, you could come in here and you could key in everything that you're going to be destroying. And then what it'll do is it'll generate a nice PDF for you. And so you can see this is just a preview of the report. But here, it date and time stamps it. It fills out all of the patient and drug information for you. And it just provides a nice, clean, consistent report and saves you from having to handwrite all of this. When you are done, you can go ahead and you can generate the PDF by selecting this icon here. And then you can go ahead and you can print it out. You can see here that when it's printed, it gives you the ability to kind of, sign off and then just record that in your logbook. All right, so that's the order section, and then that brings us to the clinical data section. The clinical data section is really nice because it's just a nice, drug reference guide for you, so to speak. And so in here, you can look up a particular medication, and it's just going to provide the same clinical information that we are provided within the pharmacy. And so, it's very trustworthy, very up-to-date, and accurate. It's a good source for you if you're needing to reference, drug information. So once this loads here, all right. So you can see here, it's going to display geriatric precautions, food precautions, if any exist. It's going to display the drug monograph, as well as drug counseling information. And then again, a good spot for you to check for interaction. So just a nice clinical piece for you if you are needing that drug information, kind of, the detailed drug information, a very good source for you. All right. The next section is the report section, and you can see here that we have patient and facility reports. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to run it for the patient, but you can also run these reports for the entire facility. So just depending on, what you're needing at that time. We're going to go ahead and just use Thomas the Train since that's what we've been working with. All right, and so you can see here, I'm just going to highlight a couple of the reports on the dynamic reports section. To start off, we have the active med profile, and so this is just helpful, to display the entire profile, particularly, when you're doing MAR audits and you're just trying to kind of reconcile, making sure that everything matches. In long-term care, often the doctor will communicate something to you, but not to us, or to us, but not to you, and so we just kind of have that ongoing, need to reconcile and just to make sure that we're both on the same page. That active med profile is really helpful for that. I'm going to go ahead and generate this report just so you can see it. This is called the daily med sheet. This is just helpful. For some of our facilities, they will print this. If somebody is going to be out of the facility, for example, maybe they're going to go, away with their family for the weekend, prior to not having this report, maybe the meds would just be sent. In addition to the meds being sent, now you can generate this report, and it just provides a nice detailed report. It itemizes out, each of the times that something is supposed to be given, when it's supposed to be given, and then it also provides you a nice spot for signing off if something was given. And so if you wanted to take it to that next level, essentially you could have, them sign off on it, and then you could affix that to the chart and just kind of have that, that extra layer of detail there. You'll also see here that in your reports, you can change the format. And so all of our reports can be exported to Excel, PDF, or Word document, just depending on what you're needing it for. Okay. Another report that I like to show is the medication reconciliation sheet. And so this is helpful, particularly for doctor's visits. And so if the resident is going to the doctor, it just provides the doctor a comprehensive list of everything that we have on file for that resident, and then it also gives them the opportunity to make adjustments. And so there's this column indicating if they want to DC something. There's a column indicating if they want to renew it with the quantity and refills, and giving them the opportunity to sign off on that. This is also helpful if somebody is moving, maybe from your facility to another facility, or maybe from one location to another. There's also this date last dose column. And so this is just really helpful to go through then and indicate when something was given most recently, just so that in that transition, there's no overlap of medication. Okay. All right, and then on the right-hand side, we also have this other report section. And so I'm going to start off with the 30-day MAR. And so for the MAR, it's just going to ask for a start date. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose the first, just to give an entire month MAR here. For all of the other reports section, you're just going to click Request Report. It takes just a second, and it will go and retrieve the report. And then what it does is it just always keeps a history of all of the reports that have been run. And so you can see everything that has been run, when it's been run, and then to view, you can just select the View Report icon. You can see that that launches a PDF of the MAR, and so here you can see, the MAR. You can see that it's separated by routine, and then PRN, and then treatment. You can also see, your allergies listed at the bottom there, your diagnoses, all of that good stuff. And because this is a PDF, you can save it, you can print it, whatever you might need to do for that. Okay. Remember, we are within the patient section, but you could also, again, print that report for the entire facility if you needed to. So just really helpful, in the paper MAR world, you often have to wait, until the following month to have any changes reflected. Now you could just log in and you could print a fresh copy at any point, and it would, it would be current to that moment for that resident. This is also helpful for new admissions. So, the moment that we've profiled meds, you could come in, you could print out a fresh MAR for new admissions. And you can actually just print that on an 8.5 by 11 white paper, and it will print, with all of those grids and everything for you. We also have the ability to print according to the drug category, and so it's just a good way to kind of isolate out by drug category We've got a list of all active psych drugs, antipsychotics, as well as antibiotics. And they all kind of look the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you an example of the psych report here. Sometimes when a resident sees a psych doctor, they don't want to see everything. They maybe just want to see those meds that they're prescribing. And so this is just a good spot for you to generate that report. Okay. All right. So that does conclude reports. So we're going to move on to pharmacy. So the first section of pharmacy is the daily med calculator. The daily med calculator is going to provide you a quote for anybody that is not using insurance. And so this is for your private pay items. With insurance, it's a little bit more complicated because we have to, go out and submit a claim to the insurance, and then the insurance then electronically responds back with a copay. So it's a little bit more difficult to provide that. But for anybody that's private pay, you can come in here and you can, let's see here, just come back, there we go. You can get a quote. And so to go ahead and look up the quote, you can find the drug. So again, you just search for a drug. You don't have to enter the entire drug name. Some of those names are really complicated. It'll kind of find the scan for you, and then you can select it from the list. And then the quantity per day that they're taking it, the day supply in question, and then you're just going to choose private pay. When you select this add medication to total icon, it is going to give you a breakdown. It's going to give you a brand versus generic comparison, and then it's also going to give you the cost per day as well as the cost per that day supply that you supplied to the above here. When you are ready, you can go ahead and you can print that out, and it's just a nice reference guide for you. The next section is the pharmacy information section, and so this is just a nice reference guide for you and your staff. In here we have some pharmacy procedures. We've got our after-hours protocol. We also have a link to our website as well as staff information. So if you're not sure who to contact about something, you can come in here. I'm currently in our Seattle location, but this will be tailored to your site. And so it'll be, your local general manager as well as pharmacist in charge. Okay, so just a nice reference guide for you. And then the last spot here is the contact the pharmacy. And so this is just a good spot for you to send over a message to us that may not be, patient-specific or prescription-specific. So you can see here, you can just send over a message and just choose your facility, of course. And then for a lot of our facilities, they'll use this for maybe things that they're requesting for the house or whatever the case might be. The idea is just that we want to save you, the hassle of having to always pick up the phone. We just want to make it easier for you to communicate with us. All right. So to get back to the main dashboard, you can just click on the QS1 Web Connect in the corner at the top left here, and then that will return you to the dashboard where you can, kind of make your way around. The last piece that I would like to show you is just changing your password. And so if you would like to change your password at any time, you're just going to click on the Logged In As in the top right-hand corner, and that's going to display your name. And then you're going to scroll to the bottom. You can see here that Change Password does show up in blue there. And then when you do change your password, it's just going to ask you for your current password as well as your new password twice. When you're all done, you're just going to select the change password once more, and then that will update your password for you. Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to this demo. We hope that you enjoy